one of my favorite matches in WrestleMania history, if not my favorite, WrestleMania 13, Austin versus Bret Hart. The reason why I love this match, it was the ultimate double turn that, in my opinion, the fans didn't know they wanted, even though they wanted it until you gave it to them. How did you guys put together that match? Was that mostly called in the ring? What was the mindset behind it, and how was it working with Bret Hart as a performer?
Well, when Bret made his comeback, he had taken some time off to have something shaved down in his knee in '96. So when he came back to SummerSlam, I think that was in Madison Square Garden, he requested working with me. And like Bret has gone on record as saying, he saw me coming a long time before I did, and knew that we could make money together.
Right.
And I'll never forget the first time I worked Shawn Michaels in Houston at the Summit. Bret was on the main event that night, or maybe he'd already worked, and I was working with Shawn Michaels, and we tore the house down. And Bret came up to me and goes, "Hey, man, that was a good match." He goes, "I'll work with you any day of the week." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Thanks, man." And, Bret Hart was always cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, and as far as WrestleMania 13 goes, I'll never forget. We go into the finish room. Well, let me go back. I had hurt a knee. I was sitting on my house on Monday Night Raw in San Antonio, and that's when I heard the matchup in a submission match: Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret the Hitman Hart.
Oh, you didn't know about it?
No, man, I'm not a submission wrestler either. So I was mad as a hornet. And so I'm wondering how we're going to, accomplish this match. And we kind of changed it to kind of the ramifications that it did. So we go to the finish room, and it's me, Bret, and Vince, and, "Hey, man, you're going to pass out in a sharpshooter." And I'm sitting there thinking, okay. Of course, Bret's down with it. And, So anyway, we left the finish room. I kind of walked around the arena for a little bit, came back, talked to Vince about 15 minutes later, and said, "Hey, Vince," I said, "are you sure this finish is going to work?" And he goes, "Steve, I'm telling you, it'll work." And I said, "Okay." And Jay, man, this is your promoter. Sometimes right. I think Vince has made a bad call every now and then, but when you have the guy who owns the company telling you,
that's right,
and he's in the business to make money, you've got to believe it.
Absolutely,
he has that knowledge, and we're all trying to make money. So if he believes it's going to make money, I'm on board. So we did it. Me and Bret went out to the arena. We just kind of milled around a little bit and talked. And man, Chris, if you just kind of held your hand out in front of you and spread your fingers, you could look at the fingers as being main points, and then all the rest was gaps to be filled in.
Right.
That's what we went out to the ring with that night. That's why there was nothing to follow. That's why it flowed like it did, and it was basically, by and large, for the most part, called in the ring. And if you watch the match specifically, you can, you'll never see a mouth move, but you can see instances of communication right. as I'm laying it down. And the match happened like it did. And then, the blood on top of the sharpshooter, the ending image of me passing out, and then Bret doing his, altercation with Shamrock backing down from the challenge, got me over as the work in progress as a babyface, and work in progress for him to be a heel.
It's an iconic image of you in the sharpshooter with the blood streaming down your face. Was that part of the finish that you had talked with Vince as well?
No.
Wow.
That was a special added ingredient.
Wow. That was called on the fly?
Called on the fly and delivered effectively.
Wow. What was Vince's reaction to that?
Well, I mean, that was one of those... That's when you have a match which is so incredible, and then you come back and everybody's just going ape shit over it.
Yeah,
and it's like, and that was a very special match. So it was in a period where there wasn't any color. It's kind of like a code.
Yes,
we're not getting color right now. Well, we got color, but it wasn't called by anybody of authority. So it happened something with me and Bret, and boy, I tell you what, he knew. That blood was the exclamation point on a sentence in all caps.
Yes.
We did the right thing. We were headed in the right direction. That added a huge dynamic to what had just happened. Helped tell that story in color, no pun intended. So he had no issues with that.